Good morning. Welcome to Gail's Journey. So if you will go to YouTube, and apparently you already have if you're watching this, so it's Gail's Journey on YouTube, and then you can email me at gailsjourney101@gmail.com. So I have a lot of other segments, and it all originated from finding out I couldn't have kids, from infertility, going through all that process, to adopting my kids. And now I'm going to bring in some other sections on interview a few other people who found out they couldn't have kids, and then they went through some fertility work. And then we're going to also talk about some segments on emotional intelligence and how to fight through some of those emotions and some strategies. I was really lucky. It was meant to be that we had some family that came down here and spent Thanksgiving with us. So when I saw them walking in with their baby, I knew something was different. And so I started noticing that they did like how I did with my own two kids. They kept looking at her and so happy to be parents and holding her, and just the look they had with her. And then I started talking, and it's quite an interesting story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce her. She is married to my cousin, and her name is Kirsten. And so welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm excited. And as you can see, her gift is right here, Harper. So first I'm going to ask you tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, we tried really hard, really excited to be parents once Jeff and I met, and went through a lot similar to you, that we got told that it wasn't going to happen, and having to cope through that and decide where to go and how to get there, and things like that was always difficult.
So how did they tell you that you couldn't have any more kids? Because they were married before, and then they just got married a few years back and wanted to have their own child. So how did they share with you or break that news to you about not having your own?
Not so gently.
What did they say?
Oh, after trying, we went to a reproductive endocrinologist who ran all the tests and did all this crazy stuff, and told us one day and just brought us in and was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to do this alone. And that was about it. And she walked out, and then a nurse came in and she's like, well, I'm sorry, guys. It was just very unemotional.
Gosh. Did you ever think at any time you were pregnant with this baby? No, never. And so after they told you that, what were your emotions like being told that when y'all left the doctor's office? What'd y'all do?
Well, we knew that IVF was going to be our only option, and then you get into the finances and whether or not you can afford it, and whether or not you're doing a disservice to, we have other children, is it a disservice to them to spend money there? So we struggled with a lot of those thoughts and emotions.
How'd y'all finally come to the decision to pursue it? Like taking all that into consideration?
I don't know. we talked a lot. We went back and forth. We struggled, but I think finally we decided that it's what we wanted, and it was going to be worth it, and hands down it is.
So I know with us, in vitro fertilization they said would not work, but also, I don't know, the procedure's probably different now, so whatever you feel comfortable with, what did you have to go through with that?
So we spent about 6 months going through all the tests and doing everything to ensure that, we would be able to carry, that, we were healthy enough, and those types of things. Once we finally went through everything, they tried to run through insurance and see, from a financial standpoint, where that would net out. And then once we figured everything out, it was probably, and it's been a little while, but 2 or 3 weeks of injections every day. We'd go to dinners and we'd have to leave and go to the car and do injections. We didn't want people to know what we were doing, so we were like sneaking around. And then once we did the retrieval and got the eggs, and they did and actually inseminated the eggs, it was just a numbers game, to where you start high and you feel so good, and then the next time you talk to them, it's a little bit lower and a little bit lower and a little bit lower. So I think we started out with 17. And
17 eggs?
And then 11 fertilized, And on the 6th day, they called me and they said 3 made it. And I was driving. I pulled over the side of the car, pulled the car over and cried. Like, you'd never expect it to be that low. We were fortunate. They called a couple days later and they're like, we actually got 2 more. Instead of taking 5-day embryos, they got 6-day embryos. So we ended
So
up
that
with 2
means that they were
additionals.
already fertilized, the egg and sperm fertilized?
Yep, the egg and sperm fertilized, and they let them grow for 5 days. If they make it to day 5, they call them, viable, that we can use them. So they called me on day 5 saying we had 3. They went ahead and let the remaining go to day 6, and they grew enough that they said that would be good. We then sent those off for what they call PGS testing, which is a chromosomal testing to ensure that they were chromosomally normal, and that what we didn't want is we didn't want to put in embryos that were set to miscarry, right? If they didn't have all of their chromosomes, then we wouldn't have been able to carry till term anyways, and for us that would have been another heartbreak that we were trying to avoid. So we went ahead and did the chromosome testing, which two of our embryos were not chromosomally normal, so we had a few that we were able to play with.
So at what point, once you found that out and on the day 6 of the other ones, then what was the next step that y'all did?
So then we had to go back with insurance. We had to go back to all of the financial pieces and starting to figure out, of course, they won't do anything until they're all paid up. So once we got that all worked out, then we went in. They make you drink a bottle of water that's like the biggest bottle of water in the world. And they you see it on an ultrasound, and they put the embryo in you, and you see this little shooting star thing across the ultrasound machine. And then they, okay, you're good, and you walk out.
Now, was he with you the whole time?
Yep.
And so do you know if it takes at that time, or you
Nope.
just have to wait?
So usually, they ask that you don't take pregnancy tests at home. Of course we did. It was funny. It was so strange because you walk into this building like everything's normal, and you walk out like you're pregnant. And it's been, 45 seconds is all it took. And then we actually went traveling the next day, and I was in the hotel every night taking a pregnancy test. Every single night until it finally turned up positive.
And so what was your reaction prior to being positive when it was negative? What was y'all's attitude like?
Well, I mean, we knew that it's going to take time for it to show. So we were cautiously optimistic. Again, we knew within 4 or 5 days after we did the transfer, so it was quick.
And so the day that you saw that it was a positive test for pregnancy, what was that like?
Oh, I cried. We both just cried. It was great. It was scary. It actually, I think, was even scarier once it worked than when it didn't, because then you're even more stressed out. That I don't know. It was great though.
So when I was going through all this fertility work, one of the hardest, and still it continues to be hardest comments people make, not understanding how difficult it is and how that's sensitive subjects with infertility and IVF. So what are some comments, because what we want to do is to help people that know somebody going through this situation. And so what are some things people said to you that didn't quite make you feel any better?
Well, we had a lot of people question whether or not we needed more children. For us, it was secondary infertility, so we both had children previously, and a lot of people, you don't need any more. So a lot of comments like that, a lot of comments on why would you spend that kind of money, a lot of people saying, talking just about giving their opinions of where we should be going, either financially or, should we go first into adoption, and just a lot of people giving those types of unwanted opinions.
Because that's the way I look at it. Unless somebody goes through that, they don't really understand how painful their comments are. So like I've said in my other episodes, be cautious of what you say because you don't know what other people are going through at the time. So then carrying the baby, how did you feel, Harper?
It was stressful. The entire thing was stressful. I wanted to say that I enjoyed every minute of it, but it was just scary because you feel like you have so much time and everything invested into this that it was so scary every day. But it was good.
And who were your strongest supporters going through all the pregnancy, realizing how special it was?
My husband. He was the biggest one, without a doubt. Even once we got pregnant, even then I didn't feel like a lot of people had a lot of support for it. And maybe it was more my perception than it was reality, but it was great that he was there the whole way.
Alrighty, so we have Harper here, and so Harper's a very special baby, and it's obvious her personality is great. She's sleeping right now. So now for the last part of this segment is when Kirsten and I were talking. I've never even heard of this, but it's called embryo adoption. So you want to tell us a little bit? I've never even heard of that before.
So Jeff and I knew we only wanted one child. And when we had additional embryos, there's a lot of different things you can do with them. Namely, a lot of times you donate them to the clinic and they will use it for science. What I've learned is whenever you donate it to science, that really just means they're going to freeze and unfreeze the embryos so that they can better their equipment. But that's what science is. And that just seemed wrong. We spent so much time and so much effort and so much hope on these embryos that it just didn't seem like it was enough. So we started looking into different things that you can do, and a lot of the different IVF clinics will allow you to donate your embryos. And we had looked into some options like that, and then also there's some that just do it privately, and where you can just try to find the parents that you feel that you connect with, and you can donate your embryos to them, and they are able to carry the child as as a full, and we've been starting to go through that line of trying to figure out the right process and how to do it and finding the right people, and it's overwhelming, but it's exciting.
So are the embryos at a fertility clinic?
Yep. So we have frozen embryos in Boston, and at some point we'll pick a family that they can go to.
So how is that going to be once you find a family? What will you do? Like once you choose a family?
Typically you hire an attorney, and that way everybody's protected. There's no way that we could ever take it from, try to get the child from them or anything like that. So it makes it, legally seamless. But then from there, they can transfer the embryos either at the hospital or at the clinic that we used, or can move them elsewhere. There's services that have, and I don't know the right words for it, but that they're able to take the frozen embryos and keep them frozen and relocate them. So there's different services that provide that, so they could take them close to their house and be able to do a mini IVF cycle, in the sense that then all they have to do is the transfer. They don't have to do the injections to actually get the eggs and those types of things.
So how's that going to be for you? Because it is going through like the adoption process, not from my part as the adoptee, but the family that gives the babies up. Are you ready for those emotions, or have you researched that?
Yeah, I think it's a little different, because once you go through IVF and once you go through the struggles of, it's really hard to have the imagination and the thoughts of not having the child. And once you realize that struggle, I think you feel good about being able to help someone else that's in that same boat. Again, we can't do another one. The doctor told me I can't. And I would much rather be able to help somebody else that is in the same boat we were in, and probably less fortunate because they weren't able to have a successful cycle. To me, it's exciting.
That's a good attitude.
It's a little... when we talk to family, they think we're crazy, but that's okay.
No, because
They don't understand it.
No, really, people don't. And I know some people going through it right now, especially one person I keep in mind. And she's so grateful I'm in her life because I get it. So I was there when she found out about 3 weeks ago she couldn't have kids. It's like, man, I'm right here. I get it. Come cry to me, call me. I'll come pick you up, whatever you need to do, because I felt like when I went through it, people can feel bad for you, but they truly don't understand it. It's like you go through the stages of death. So y'all are very special because you do understand. And
what I love about this particular part of the process, you get to choose a family that you feel like you resonate with. You get to choose some of those things, but more importantly, you get to choose what type of openness you want in the relationship. And that's what I like, is that we can choose that we can be Facebook friends, right? I can still follow on Facebook. More importantly, if anything health-wise arises and they need to know biological family medical history, they can reach out. If ever comes to a time that Harper would like to be able to meet them and everybody's aligned, that can be arranged. So it doesn't make it to where all the lines are just erased. They're still there. You predetermine with both families before the paperwork's ever even written up what that looks like. And that way you can, it's something else to follow and love, even knowing that it's something that you help someone else with, you know?
that's really good. I'm not sure I could be like that, but I'm coming from the other end, not having kids. So I would love somebody like you that thought that way. But is there anything else you would like to add? And
No, it's hard, but it's worth it.
alrighty, so I want to thank Kirsten and Harper, of course, a very special baby, and I just hope that we've helped somebody. And like I said, if you'll please share the videos with other people, and then I'm also going to start bringing in a little bit of strategies for emotions that you run through, not just with infertility, adoption, but just to kind of help with that. So it's a topic I've never heard of, and it's embryo adoption. So you might want to check on that. What I want to do is thank y'all for coming here and staying here, because I feel like we have a special bond. And you can always tell when people have special babies like that because the way they treat them. I do want to give her my book, Adoption's Not Just a Word, and it's my journey of infertility and everything I went through to adopt my kids. And I'm sure she's already felt a lot of those. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yeah. How about what are some things you can leave some of the individuals that are going through fertility, like some motivation or some encouragement, a message for them that are going through infertility or seeking adoption, or even planning to have their child up for adoption?
Go ahead.
So, from my end, we didn't do adoption, but from an infertility standpoint, you feel hopeless sometimes, and there's a lot of days that I went home and cried. And in the end, for us, it was so worth it. And at the time, I remember just being an emotional mess. But hands down, worth every tear and second and shot of, hormone.
Alrighty. I want to say this too. It's I know at times we all have problems in life, and somebody said, "Gail, you act like you have it together all the time." I said, "No, I don't. I hardly ever have it together. I just am happy." But I always think about the birth families that when I met them, and you promise to raise somebody else's child the best you can, then I'd have to say that's my number one rule in life. I know we all love our kids more than anything, but I can't imagine what they're going through still to this day, giving their kids up for adoption and trusting me and my husband to raise them. So regardless of what challenges we have and times we may not get along with different people, we have to remember about what a difficult and I guess tender subject this is, sensitive subject. I want to thank everybody for watching my YouTube. please share this with a couple of people or whoever you'd like to. As I teach at the college, I always do I call them a fake talk show, where they just make up questions about life. So I want to extend this beyond just the infertility and adoption. So please send me any questions you have at gailsjourney101@gmail.com, and I'll do the best I can to answer it. So thank you so much for allowing my YouTube channel this opportunity. I hope a lot of y'all that we met through the adoption conference, that you still are in touch with my YouTube channel. And anybody that's going through any hardships, please email me and I'll let you know that the way you feel is okay. And just like the other day, I hid in my closet for a while, and I just like, man, I need to get my act together. And then I think about my kids and the promise I made, and that's what gets me through it. So again, thank you so much. And remember to subscribe to Gail's Journey on YouTube, and then also email me at gailsjourney101@gmail.com. And if you're interested in one of my books, you can email me and I'll send it to you for a small fee of $10. Thank you, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the holidays.